I find in general sometimes I'll just kind of wake up from a trance and realize how unconscious I've been, and I'm like, oh, I haven't even had like a single like productive thought in hours.
Yeah, for real.
Like you just kind of like stop existing normally and you're just kind of on autopilot. It's like you said, sometimes I don't realize we're on this beautiful island because I'm just like, just so caught in my own head.
Yeah, you gotta give out energy to get something new out of the situation and get energy out of it. So, like, if we kind of just let the mundane swallow us, we just spend a ton of time in this little apartment and we've got a nice view of the ocean, but like, we should be going to the beach more and hanging out outside more. Like, it takes energy to go out into the world and experience something different, but at least you're not like getting swallowed by the momentum of the everyday experience, because then you just get so like, it starts to feel like you're just repeating the same day over and over, and you're not achieving anything, you're not getting anything out of it, it's not leading anywhere unless you have like a clear vision of your future like in mind that you're working towards every day. I feel like that progression that you see is, at least for me, where I find meaning. Like, today was good because I know that it's making tomorrow better.
Yeah, for real. Like sometimes I'll catch myself realizing like I don't even know what day of the week it is. It seems like sometimes the days just sort of pass by like so quickly, and because you don't kind of stop and introduce intention to kind of slow things down and be present for a moment, like it all just goes by in a flurry. Like if you just are not on your phone and you're just sitting there like really thinking about your situation in life, it feels like hours and hours could go by. Like it feels like suddenly time is extending. When you're just on autopilot, it just goes by so quickly. It's weird.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I feel like when you indulge in entertainment or like indulge in unconscious behavior of like passively enjoying something, like observing something, you're like disconnecting in a way, detaching, and that's what makes it so like time speeds up, like you're just passively existing. But then when you're like actively engaging, all of a sudden it feels like time is moving slower, but it feels like it's working for you in a way. Like when you're doing the hard work, the things that matter, it feels like you can get so much done.
Feels like we almost like forget how nice, genuine, real experience is, and that's like all we really want. Like just being out in the world, experiencing something is all you really want. Like we've been thinking about our future all day, these different places we could end up at, like getting a house in Japan, having a trailer, but really what's important is not like what our house is like, what our living situation is like, because anywhere is just going to become a rut and more of the same if we're not introducing intention. And we can make any situation work if we just give ourselves enough energy and go out and interact with the world. Like we would have been going and seeing different Muay Thai fights this whole time and going into nature, and like, yeah, maybe I wouldn't feel so trapped here if I was just, even with broken arms, wanting to just get myself out there a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. I find that if you're fully engaged with anything, like your full focus is on the moment that you're in, then it feels meaningful. When you don't even have the time or the chance to like sit and observe yourself because you're just so distracted by the environment that you're engaged in, that's when life is really good. It's so good that you don't even notice, and you only notice later when you're like falling asleep, like, wow, like that was sick, like what a cool day, what a cool adventure.
For real, like I think what comfort really is just experiencing the known. You know what I mean? Experiencing things you're already familiar with. So it doesn't take energy to process it or to feel it for the first time. And so it's hard to want to be uncomfortable, but it's also like you're putting yourself out into a new experience, and that's like where you get like genuine memories. And sometimes it isn't that comfortable. Like we were walking around all through town, but it's probably the most meaningful day I've had in a while because I was getting new experiences out of it. I wasn't just on autopilot, like editing some videos or watching some TV or like eating some breakfast or whatever I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, and we had so much to do today. So like every time we finished one thing, we had the path before us still there, something to do. And it's almost like overwhelming in the moment, but it's also nice because it kept us busy pretty much all day. And then like when we get home and it seems like there's nothing to do, you find yourself getting all bored. And so it's almost like boredom is worse than being super busy, but when you have nothing to do and you think about like doing all this stuff, it feels like, oh, like a waste of energy, like something that you don't want to do. But like as long as you're fully engaged, focused, like being a part of something, then life is pretty dope. It's only when you sit back and you think about it, you stress, worry, doubt, fear, like all these passive emotions that come when you're not fully engaged.
Yeah, for real. We can almost like get away with distracting ourselves from like, the realness of existence in a way. Like before, social media, before phones, before any of that, like you were kind of just in the moment all the time because there was nothing else to pay attention to. Maybe you were like daydreaming or something, but it's like, it's really not natural to have an escape from that. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember my imagination was so vivid as a kid. And then when I was like 12 is when I got onto a computer a lot. And then after that, like my imagination went into like video games and stuff. Like it was already so fantastic that I didn't have to like use my mind.
Yeah, it's almost like, you stop having to introduce intention into the world and, birth it out of your own creativity. You go from being a producer to like a consumer. Like when I was a kid, yeah, I'd play with my toys and I'd be, entertaining myself through my toys. I'd be, the artist, the editor, the writer of this entire like grand, crazy thing that was going on in front of me. But now it's like I can just watch a show. And even though I'm still a creative person and I like, writing fiction and things like that, it's not the same. Some part of it's just like faded into the background because I feel like I don't have to be the one doing it anymore.
Yeah. Think about this, like let's say you pick up a CD at the store and you go home and you watch it in your living room and it's like it was a good movie, but it just is what it is. You should watch a movie before you go to bed, you're kind of bored. Or like you're anticipating it coming out and you book your tickets at the theater and you like get your popcorn, your candy, and you're all hyped because you had to drive all the way over there and wait in line and build anticipation. You finally sit down, you have to like wait for the trailers and you can smell the popcorn in the air. Like it's the same movie, but you're far more engaged. There was more build up, more work. And then like when you finally like watch the whole thing, it could impact you in a way more powerful way because you're just that much more involved. And like that just goes to show how two of the same environment, the same situation could be just totally different.
For real. It's almost like we just turn everything mundane. We like don't give ourselves the privilege of reacting to things because we're just like, oh, it's normal. Whereas in a way, these little mundane things that we don't really think about are so extraordinary, and we should try to introduce this aspect of like, being more amazed at it in a way. Like every time you like click your phone and it turns on, it's like some marvel of human engineering and innovation that we like don't even think about it. It's just like a magic dopamine box, like you start to just introduce more intention and thought into the things you're interacting with and thoughts you're having. And I think you become a more like well-rounded, like, having a wider perspective as a person.
Yeah. If you're always changing, then it's always new and it's not mundane. You don't want who you are to start to become mundane. You don't want to be bored of yourself because I feel like that's what makes you depressed is when the character that you're playing becomes so long and drawn out. Like you're so sick of who you are and you refuse to change it, or you're just not changing quick enough, not able to learn that next lesson in your character. And I feel like when you're pushing yourself and you're evolving, you're surprised at who you are, you're proud of who you're becoming, you're in love with the changes, you're anticipating the newness, you're surprising yourself. Like that's when life is really good. But we adapt so quickly, we're almost like spoiled. Like you might surprise yourself 1 second and do something absolutely life-changing, like totally one up your past self in a way that's like, whoa, like I did it. And then like if you just continue as that person, it's only a matter of days or weeks till that's just baseline, and now like, you can't earn your self-love as easy, or your approval or your appreciation of self.
It's almost like humans don't get enjoyment out of the thing itself. They get enjoyment out of like the movement or the progress. It's like they say we can't really feel speed. We feel like acceleration. Like the earth is spinning very, very quickly, like faster than any fighter pilot has flown in his life. But it's actually the acceleration that you really feel. Like if you just slowly turn the heat up, you might not even realize it's hot, because we can only really notice big changes, which is strange.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's never enough. You start like moving this goalpost, you know what I mean? Like it's interesting how that happens.
So is the moral of the story just to stay in constant movement and constant change?
I mean, it's hard to say, because it's like I've never found that I'm incredibly satisfied with being in one place. I feel like I'm always pushing myself to try to improve something, or to keep doing something, or to try a new skill. And I don't know how it is for everybody, but I'd say like if you feel like you're lacking some sense of meaning in your life, it's probably something that your innate being wants fulfilled, like some like task, some accomplishment. Like we really validate ourselves by like pushing through resistance and doing hard things, doing meaningful things. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I struggle to find what that is. Like, yeah, there's days that I'm definitely like super fulfilled just by the things that happen to me, the way I'm moving. And then there's definitely days where I'm just confused about why I exist. Like, what exactly am I living for in this moment? I could just be chasing pleasure and perhaps enjoying it, but that's just a means to an end. And then if you just are only working towards your future, you burn yourself out, and then you're just like sitting there like trying to do things with energy you don't have, and then you might become reluctant to.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance. I find when you're spending all of your effort all the time trying to make forward progress, it feels like you're living just for some future version of yourself, or you're living just for the progress itself. You also need to be able to slow down and enjoy life for what it is, because it's passing by and it goes much quicker than people realize. I think some people live always focused on the next destination, and you don't always know if you'll even reach that destination. Like any of us could die at any time. And so I think it's worth to introduce a little bit of intention to try to just enjoy life for what it is, instead of just being focused on the next goal, I guess.
Yeah, well said.